Everybody, welcome back to the Matt's Grave. What? Why are we whispering?
Because suppressors no longer have a $200 NFA stamp. Not everyone can afford them.
So, wouldn't we want people to know that?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. There's a problem.
What's the problem?
We still live in New York. They're not legal in New York.
Oh, well, I guess they're technically still classified as an NFA item.
Yeah.
And still have to be registered with ATF Form 1-4 and Section A through F and run a NICS check.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about them anyways.
Let's talk about
Let's talk about, why don't we just do this? Although suppressors would be awesome. Let's talk about the NFA in general. Let's people are like, what the hell's the NFA? What are they talking about?
Let's disband the NFA, which is not a thing, guys.
Yeah, well, we could defund it and cancel it, right? So, Ed, what is the NFA?
Well, let's rewind this back a little bit. We got some new legislation that's going to be coming into effect 1st of January, 2026.
Just a couple weeks.
And it's going to be pretty big for those states, especially that have suppressors. The reason being, as part of the One Big Beautiful Act, July 4th, 2025, mostly it was focused on tax cuts, spending policies, and one of the things that they wanted to remove was the $200 stamp attached to the purchase of all NFA items.
Okay. So that's some forward momentum on that.
Absolutely. And it's not just suppressors. So it goes for suppressors, short barrel rifles, short barrel shotguns.
Okay.
Okay. None of which are allowed in states like New York, California, Massachusetts, New Jersey. But this podcast is not exclusive, just for those states. No longer $200 stamp attached. Registration is still required. Background checks are still required.
Yep.
And paperwork is still required.
And they're still going to be governed by state laws.
Yes.
Unfortunately, in a way. But again, it's still some forward momentum on this.
It's great momentum on this.
How long has this NFA been in place?
So the NFA, the National Firearms Act, it's not an organization, guys. You can't disband
it's not the ATF or the
NFA.
whatever.
The National Firearms Act of 1934. Originally, it was, just like the Big Beautiful Act, it was a tax and spending bill. It was a tax law, not a gun law. And what Congress originally wanted to do is they wanted to levy a tax upon firearms transactions, purchase, transport, things of that nature.
They can't control it, they tax it.
That's exactly it. Now, the spirit of the law, that's up for some speculation, but it was supposed to be a tax stamp law for that. Now, the great thing about the NFA was they haven't changed that $200 stamp from 1934 to current standards. Just to give you guys an idea, $200 in 1934 is equivalent to about $5,000 today.
So basically, they were trying to price these things out of existence.
I mean, we can only guess upon the spirit of the law, not being constitutional attorneys whatsoever, and we don't offer legal advice. But the law was, at that time, there's going to be a $200 stamp for all these things that the NFA considers firearms, firearm sales, and firearm transactions.
And I can imagine in 1934, there were a lot more important things that I would need to spend $200 on.
Sure was. I mean, think about what you can spend $4,000 or $5,000 on now. I can get 10 Glocks.
You can get a staccato.
You can get 2 staccatos. My goodness. So, Dave, the original law, the penal law, back from then, what did it say exactly?
Well, we've got it here. It says, there shall be levied, collected, and paid upon firearms transferred in the continental United States a tax at the rate of $200 for each firearm. Such tax is to be paid by the transferor, which is the person buying it.
Yeah. And you can find a copy of that in Penal Law 73474 HR 9066, Section 3A, if anybody actually wants to look.
I know some of you will.
But wow, like that is it's almost like they wanted certain people to not be able to afford firearms. I kind of get it. You don't want criminals access to them.
So in essence, unless you're a bad person, you mean ill intent to others, your right to possessing a firearm exists. Okay, so we've kind of established that baseline, right?
So it's funny you mentioned the other rights, right?
Yeah.
So after the NFA was passed, it required all transfers, purchasers, in order to not only pay the $200 tax, but to also register them.
Yeah.
Anybody see an issue with the law that you just kind of throw out there and require a registry, for people who already possess them?
Mm-hmm.
So as you can imagine, that would mean every possessor of a firearm in 1934, after the NFA passed, who had not registered them, not paid the $200 tax, they'd basically be breaking the law.
Yeah. Yeah. And, let's stay off the path a little bit. Somebody name me any other right listed in the Bill of Rights that you have to pay tax for to use and you have to register to use.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's the frustrating part of this.
Yeah.
Right? And, we see it all the time. In fact, Justice Thomas repeatedly says this. The Second Amendment is not a second-class right. It is a right of the first class. It is a constitutionally protected right.
Going back to 1934.
Yeah.
So the NFA was passed. Anybody who didn't register their firearms and pay the $200 tax was breaking the law.
Yeah.
So fast forward to 1968, there was a very famous case, Jack Haynes v.
Oh,
U.S.
yeah.
that basically said he unfortunately, was a criminal, unindicted. But by registering his firearm, he would be admitting it and incriminating himself, which
Which goes against the Fifth
Amendment. Exactly. So that case got passed. He won, and then all of a sudden the entire NFA just became unenforceable. It kind of bugs me a little bit that it took an additional 34 years to get to that point of enforcing. But they realized they really had to look at the NFA and were like, okay, we really have to clearly define what a firearm is going to be under the National Firearms Act of 1934.
Yeah.
And boy, has that definition changed over the years.
So the fight that I've been hearing lately is you have basically a ruling that is loosely interpreted by an entity that is an agent for the government that rarely interprets it in favor of gun owners.
Correct.
Right? Like the old unelected officials making rulings that have the weight of law that don't even go through the right channels. They call it legal interpretation. Well, what basis in law does that have?
And in case you guys were wondering, the NFA is enforced by the wonderful Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the ATF.
Yeah.
And because the NFA has evolved so many times over the years, they make a very, very poignant point of now having an update right on the NFA website of what items are going to be listed under the NFA and have to be registered.
Yeah.
So some of those items include what, Dave?
Oof. Well, let's start with a shotgun having a barrel length of less than 18 inches.
Again, something we can't have in New York. Keep going.
Right? A weapon made from a shotgun, if such weapon is modified and has an overall length of less than 26 inches, or a barrel or barrels of less than 18 inches in length. So they're talking about maybe a longer barrel shotgun, but the stock is shorter.
Yeah, and you can't chop it down. You can't make short barrels. You can't modify it. You can't change it. Again, something we can't have in New York.
Welcome to Scotland.
How about a rifle having a barrel or barrels of less than 16 inches in length, aka an SBR, short barrel rifle?
So no SBRs, no SBSs.
Yep. Oh boy. A weapon made from a rifle, if such weapon is modified, overall length of less than 26 inches. So similar to the shotgun length. So essentially, the long gun has to be 26 inches or more.
A long gun has to be long.
Long. As long as the barrel is 18 inches or more. So what does that really tell you? It's, 18-inch stock and an 18-inch barrel, or the stock, the receiver, and the barrel.
AR-15, 11.5 inch, compensated with an iron-bonded bolt carrier.
Here's the scary part. Any other weapon as defined in subsection E.
Yeah, subsection E is quite long, quite extensive.
I don't think we have enough paper in the printer to print that.
Yeah.
And it really could mean is basically that's an open-ended thing. They could add to that all they want.
They
Sneak
have.
a couple things in, which, yes, they have. How about any silencer?
Yeah. So, guys, there's a lot of armchair commandos and people who have their opinion on what silencer and suppressor and, all the different terms for it. My interpretation, okay, functionally, there's no such thing as a silencer. There's no way to silence, a gunshot. You can suppress a gunshot, so the device is called a suppressor. However, I did find out that Silencer Co., like one of the
Right.
leading brands, did patent their device as a silencer, not a
okay.
suppressor. So
Were they trying to play tricky word games, right?
I'm not sure, but it's so if you're talking about a silencer, it's got to be one from Silencer Co. Because
Hey,
they patented that way.
So you know
Anything
what?
else?
I bet you the NFA hasn't regulated this. You know what I did one time? Is I had a 45, and those gramophones, the
Oh,
the
yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
horn that comes off the end of it. I put it on the end of the gun. You know what I called it? A loud insert. It kind of looked like a handheld blunderbuss.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine that?
No, I can't, Dave, because I wasn't born during that era. And then the last point.
Anyways, what was a destructive device?
Okay, so originally the terminology for a destructive device involved any type of explosive, grenades. So, guys, these are the devices and items that are listed under the NFA's website
Oof.
as of December 10th, 2025. That list will and probably is going to change in the future at some point. So just keep yourself updated. But again, cool thing for suppressors, silencers, no NFA stamp on those SBRs or SBSs for states that are legal to have them. Now,
So the good thing about that is there is a game plan in works.
there sure
Right?
is. That sparked a lot ever since July 4th.
So if you really think about removing the tax amount off of it, essentially removed the tax on it, which also started making the whole regulation under the NFA start to crumble,
Yeah.
which is, hey, that's good momentum for us.
Because the original documentation said that, it had to be registered, you had to pay the tax stamp, you had to pay the $200. Well, we just removed the $200 tax stamp. So does that mean they should no longer be registered?
Yep.
They no longer should be considered NFA items? And there are lots of great organizations out
Yeah.
there that have cases that have filed suit against the ATF and the NFA.
Yep.
You know,
You mentioned one just a couple minutes ago.
Silencer Shop
Yep.
via ATF, Brown via ATF, Jensen via ATF. All these cases, are on the Supreme Court docket, and who knows, where they are going to be going with that.
So there's also a couple bills being proposed.
Sure.
All right. And I remember hearing, watching these a little bit. One of them is the Hearing Protection Act.
Yeah.
Okay. Another one is the Shush Act. Right. Basically further deregulating suppressors to making them accessories.
Yeah. So stepping away from the legal just for a second,
Yeah.
guys. In case you were curious, only 8 states actually ban suppressors in the entirety of the U.S. Well, the other states are all, they allow suppressors. Again, highly regulated.
Yep.
But 8 states, including New York, does not. So HR 404 and 850, as Dave mentioned, are the Hearing Protection Act as they are on the Supreme Court of New York, allowing for deregulation of suppressors. And there's some talk about, hey, if you use it for sporting purposes, if you use it for hunting purposes, like those are situations where I don't want to lose my hearing, frankly.
So think about this, guys. Most of you watching are probably shooters. And you know that you have to have some pretty decent ear pro when you go to the range.
Yeah.
Because there's other people shooting, there's you shooting. And to be honest, my tinnitus will verify. Gunfire's loud.
Just don't fire that thing so close to my head, I can barely hear as it is.
Imagine going to the range and being able to use a suppressor, silencer, and do some shooting, have some fun shooting steel. And really all you hear is a loud cough and the clang of steel.
Yep.
And it doesn't travel that far. And the neighbors are a little happier.
Especially in those states where you can't have a suppressor, so you have to have some other muzzle device that rifle comes in with, and
Yeah.
it's usually a muzzle brake, which, if anybody has shot near somebody with a muzzle brake,
Sometimes makes it louder.
I would swear it does make it louder. It no longer directs the sound forward, it's now outwards, upwards, downwards, or if you have one of the arrowhead muzzle brakes that has it pushing it backwards, you're going to feel it and you're going to hear it. Yeah, there's some debate about whether it should be used just for, hunting and sporting, in which case you'd have to take or get a hunting license to have a suppressor. Okay, it's one extra step, but it would be a step in the right direction. Baby steps.
Baby steps. I'll go back to the original intent of the Second Amendment. It wasn't passed for sporting use or hunting use. Right? It was passed because effectively and logically, we just kicked the British's ass and kicked them out of the country. And we were pretty damn sure they were coming back. So we're like, we are going to protect ourselves. All right. So it was the protection of self and country. No sporting use. And the Second Amendment wasn't for hunting deer. And it wasn't for target shooting. So, my thing is, yes, it's a step in the right direction. But my thing is, why should it just be like, oh, if you're not going to use it for sporting use or hunting, you can't have it?
Especially since 3/4 of the country already says you can have them.
And okay, I get it. Okay, adding a 4 to 6 inch long suppressor onto your pistol, it's going to be a little tough to conceal carry that thing, right? I'm ignoring suppressor uses in movies and TV because who always uses suppressors in movies and TVs? Bad guys.
Assassins,
Bad guy
guys.
characters.
Yeah.
Yep. But I'm pretty sure, I know quite a few people that are in those free states that have suppressors. They're not bad people. They just want to be able to hunt without scaring all the other game, without being annoyingly loud. They want to be able to shoot at ranges without annoying neighbors and worrying about having very good ear pro. They can have some ear pro. I know I've shot them. I've been on ranges in free states and I've shot them, and there's still some noise to them.
There's still quite a bit of noise to them.
Yeah.
I think society has kind of, adopted the movie and popular fiction mentality of suppressor sounding like
All you hear is,
like a blow dart,
Yeah.
kind of going up. That is not what a suppressor sounds like, guys.
depending on the gun, depending on the ammo, obviously there's some science to this, guys. You got to use subsonic ammo. You get a good suppressor, 22
You're shooting
suppressed,
22,
especially with subsonic. You might not hear it in the other room because it's just a low sound signature round. And if it's subsonic stuff, it's being muffled, it's being controlled.
Yeah.
But a 9mm or 45, there's still some noise to it.
And that's just pistol calibers. We haven't even talked about rifles.
Have
And
you
I
seen the
would say-
silencers for shotguns?
I don't think that's a silencer for a shotgun. That's
It's more of a reducer.
mitigator, negotiator. Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be a good name. A negotiator.
Have you seen the pictures of the suppressors for tanks?
What is a suppressor for a tank?
Look it up. Look it up,
All right,
guys.
we'll post
put
a
a picture
picture.
on it. It's hilarious. We'll just put it that way. But yeah, there are suppressors for shotguns. There's I've shot suppressors on an AR-15 platform. Okay, and yeah, there's still a crack, but it's not annoyingly loud.
Yeah.
50 yards away, you're gonna hear something. Okay, but a couple hundred yards away, you might not even notice it.
One last thought to that is if it's accessible and used for training purposes for military, for police, why wouldn't it, be accessible for civilians as well? And yes,
What makes them so special?
well, I absolutely understand that there are certain things that are only accessible to military and police. Like I don't want to, conceal carry an AT4, anytime soon.
Why not?
I can't conceal carry it. Like it's bigger than I am. But a suppressor, I don't think changes the nature of the firearm other than the sound reduction.
Yes.
So in that way, it's better for just personal self aid and preserving my hearing, which doesn't come back. So
Yeah, right. Once it's damaged, it's gone. I can tell you, I've got 3 different tones of tinnitus going on. And, I've been in situations where I didn't have ear pro available and firearms were discharged. Nature of the beast, nature of the job. What are you going to do, right?
oh, Mr. Bad Guy, hold on one second. Let me get my ear pro on.
Okay, now we can finish the fight.
We're
right?
good.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't work too well. They don't have any honor like that. You can't call a timeout and go, wait a minute, hold on a second. Okay. But so in reality, the NFA, from what I'm starting to see, is starting to get chewed apart a little, which is a good thing. Can it be chewed apart faster? In my opinion, absolutely. It should be a stroke of a pen. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
But there is a process to dismantle things. You can't just hit the plunger and watch the building implode.
And I think that's the beauty of living in a society where we can not take the laws for granted and we can start asking questions in a very polite, in a very disciplined, in a very strategic kind of manner. There is a process, to it.
Yeah.
But we're allowed to question, we're allowed to change things, as time
Americans.
evolves, laws evolve as Americans. There are plenty of countries that don't allow that, and what's dictated is gonna be that way. And if you don't follow it, off comes their hand, or anything else.
Or some countries are just going to like, hey, we're going to do this, and this is a politician level vote, and the civilians and citizens have zero say other than, oh, thank you, may I have another.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things I would ask you to do is get active. All right. I'm going to get on the soapbox a little bit. Remember, these are our representatives. They're not our leaders. I hate that word when they're talking about our political people. Okay. They're representatives. What I would strongly suggest is that you look up these numbers, HR 404, 850. Look up all any kind of companion bills or other related bills that are looking at hurting this NFA, and contact your elected representatives. It doesn't matter if you're in a red state or in a blue state. Contact them anyways. They have to log the contacts. They have to log the comments. They have to at least address it. Okay. I learned this a long time ago. I talked to a couple of our elected representatives who are actually on our side here in New York. Okay. And they said the problem is, too many people are apathetic. They assume that I know what they want. They assume that I'm going to vote their way. But, a couple of them said, the problem is, until I hear from you, I don't know what you want. I don't know how you want me to vote. And they're the ones that are actually, they're working for us. Like they're supposed to, right?
Think about how many times we've heard family gatherings, friend gatherings, lots of people complaining about things that are not fair, regardless of your political leanings, one way or another on some, issue. Oh, what have you done about it? Do you even know who your elected representative is or how to contact them? Believe me, guys, their addresses and offices are out there in the public. Their emails are open. All the channels are open, and they do want to hear from you.
Heck, all you got to do is type in your address, your full address, and, senator.
Yeah.
Okay. Representative. Okay. Congressman.
Which district, which area? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
You
their
can go
office is.
to USSenate.gov or something like that, or you can go, the Senate, Congress, and you can. There's a little tool that says find my representative, find my congressman. You just put in your address, and it'll tell you who it is, and then you write them, call them, and if you're anywhere near their local office, go visit them and have a respectful dialogue with them. No matter what you think they lean towards, whether it's anti or pro, right? You need to go have a dialogue with them. You may feel like you're just yelling at a hurricane,
Yeah.
but you know what? You need to be heard. You need to do this. I look at it this way. If you don't, and the rights disappear or it doesn't move in the direction you want, who are you to complain about it?
Apathy is the same thing as compliance.
That's right.
So-
You don't do anything, you get what you get. Unfortunately, as a buddy of mine down south goes, that's what you get. Before we close out, Ed, is there anything else that we want to share about the NFA?
Congratulations to all those states, who are going to have that tax stamp removed.
Thank you.
It's a great step in the right direction. And this was just a quick little update because, 2026 is right around the corner and this will be going into effect very soon. And we wanted to keep you guys updated because that's important as well.
Cool. Anyways, so as always, please like this video, comment below. Let's get some discussion going. We love hearing from you. We love chit-chatting with you. Even if we're just busting each other's chops. We love doing it. It's fun. Okay? Engage with us. Share this video out, too. Share all of our videos out. Just go on there and flood them out to your friends and everybody. But like, comment, subscribe.
Hit that notification bell. Check us out on Patreon. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
See you soon. Thanks for checking in.